Scientists are very curious. They want to know how animals think. They especially want to know about primates like monkeys. Monkeys are our cousins in a way. Dr. Keith Chen and Dr. Laurie Santos at Yale University had a big idea. They wanted to see if monkeys could understand money. This was a bold question. Money seems like a very human thing, but maybe its roots go deeper. So they designed a special experiment. They chose capuchin monkeys for their study. These monkeys are known to be quite intelligent and quick learners. Capuchin monkeys are small primates from South America. They have clever hands and curious minds. They live in social groups and can solve complex problems. This makes them good subjects for studies about learning and behavior. The researchers thought these monkeys might be able to learn something as abstract as using money. The experiment was not about making monkeys rich, it was about understanding their cognitive abilities. Could they grasp the concept of exchanging a symbol for a reward? This was the central question driving the entire research project, a fascinating exploration. The experiment was set up carefully. The monkeys lived in a large enclosure. The researchers introduced small, silver-colored tokens. These tokens were like coins. At first, the monkeys did not know what these tokens were for. They might have sniffed them or played with them. The tokens had no value to them initially. The scientists had to teach them that these metal discs could be used. This teaching process would take patience and careful observation. The goal was to create a tiny monkey economy. This would allow the researchers to watch how the monkeys behaved. The first step was to show the monkeys that tokens meant food. A researcher would offer a grape. If a monkey gave a token back, it got the grape. This was simple cause and effect. It took some time for all the monkeys to understand this exchange. Some learned faster than others. This is common in any group of animals, just like in humans. The researchers were patient. They repeated the process many times. Slowly, the shiny tokens began to mean something important to these clever capuchins. They were becoming a form of currency. Once the monkeys understood that tokens could buy food, the experiment moved to the next stage. The researchers started to vary the prices of different food items. For example, one token might buy a piece of cucumber, which the monkeys liked. However, a more desired treat like a sweet grape or a Jell-O cube might cost 2 tokens. This introduced the idea of value. Not all foods were equal and not all foods cost the same. The monkeys had to learn this new rule. This was a crucial step in understanding if they could make economic choices. The capuchins learned these price differences quite quickly. They showed clear preferences for certain foods. They also learned how many tokens they needed for their favorite treats. If a monkey wanted a Jell-O cube, it knew it had to present 2 tokens. If it only had 1, it could not get the Jell-O. This situation created a simple market. The monkeys were consumers. They had a limited budget of tokens. They had to decide how to spend their money. Their choices showed what they valued most, which was interesting for the scientists. This ability to connect a valueless token to a desired item is quite sophisticated. It shows abstract thinking. The token itself is not edible. It has no direct use, but it represents the power to get something good. The monkeys were not just reacting to food, they were planning one step ahead. They were using an intermediary tool, the token, to achieve their goal. This is similar to how humans use money. We know a paper bill is not food, but we know it can buy food. The monkeys were demonstrating a basic form of this understanding. The researchers observed the monkeys making these choices. Sometimes a monkey might really want a grape, but only have enough for a cucumber slice. They could see the monkeys hesitate. This hesitation suggested they were thinking, they were weighing their options. This process of decision-making was exactly what the scientists hoped to study. The little monkey marketplace was becoming a window into their minds. It showed that the concept of value and exchange was not beyond their grasp. They were becoming savvy shoppers in their own small world. As the monkeys became more familiar with the token system, more complex behaviors started to appear. One of the first was budgeting. Some monkeys began to save their tokens. They would not spend them immediately on the cheaper food items. Instead, they held on to their tokens. They waited until they had enough to buy the more expensive, more desirable treats. This showed planning and self-control. It suggested they understood that saving could lead to a better reward later. This is a fundamental aspect of economic behavior, even for humans. However, not all behavior was so virtuous. Just like in human societies, crime appeared in the monkey economy. Some monkeys, perhaps those who were not good savers or who had spent all their tokens, resorted to theft. A stronger or quicker monkey might snatch tokens from a weaker or unsuspecting one. This was a clear sign that the tokens had become very valuable to them. They were worth fighting for, or at least stealing. This was not a behavior the researchers taught. It emerged naturally from the situation they had created. It showed a darker side to economic understanding. There were even observations that could be interpreted as early forms of bargaining or frustration with the market. For instance, a monkey might try to offer fewer tokens than required for a high-value item. When this was rejected, it might show signs of agitation. While not sophisticated negotiation, it indicated an understanding of prices and a desire to influence them. They understood the transaction process. They knew what they wanted and what they were expected to pay. This interaction showed their engagement with the economic rules set by the researchers, even if they tried to bend them. These developing behaviors, saving, stealing, and simple forms of protest or negotiation, were fascinating. They showed that once a system of currency was in place, many of the same patterns seen in human economies started to emerge. It was as if the monkeys were speedrunning through basic economic development. The researchers were careful not to overinterpret, but the parallels were hard to ignore. The Capuchins were not just learning a trick, they were engaging with a system in surprisingly complex ways, revealing their innate capacities. The most surprising event in the monkey economy was yet to come. It was something the researchers had not predicted at all. One day, a researcher observed a male monkey give a token to a female monkey. Immediately after receiving the token, the female monkey engaged in a sexual act with the male. This was a stunning moment. The male monkey had, in effect, paid for sex using the learned currency. The female, after the act, promptly took the token to the market and exchanged it for a grape. This was a transaction entirely between two monkeys. This incident was a significant discovery. It showed that the tokens had become more than just a way to get food from humans. They had become a true medium of exchange, even for services within the monkey community itself. This was not a behavior that was taught or encouraged. It developed spontaneously. It suggested that the concept of money had taken on a life of its own among the Capuchins. The token was now a symbol of general purchasing power, not just for specific researcher-provided goods. This was a profound leap in understanding for the monkeys. The parallels to human behavior are, of course, very strong here. Humans use money for an enormous range of goods and services, including those that are not always discussed openly. The fact that monkeys, when given a form of currency, independently developed one of the oldest forms of transaction is remarkable. It makes us think about the deep evolutionary roots of our own economic behaviors. Perhaps the tendency to trade and use currency is not purely a human cultural invention. Maybe it taps into something more fundamental in the primate brain. This Yale experiment with capuchin monkeys and tokens provides a rich source for reflection. It shows us that animals, especially primates, are smarter than we often assume. They can grasp abstract concepts. They can develop complex social and economic behaviors. When we see them saving, stealing, or even engaging in taboo transactions, we see a mirror. It reflects parts of our own nature. Understanding these intelligent beings helps us understand ourselves a little better. The monkey economy, though small and simple, told us a big story about who we are. The Yale experiment with capuchin monkeys and tokens has truly opened our eyes to the fascinating parallels between primate and human economic behaviors. From saving and stealing to engaging in unexpected transactions, these intelligent beings have given us a unique insight into the roots of our own financial habits. If you found this video surprising and thought-provoking, give us money. Oops, we mean likes and shares. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's totally free. Your support helps us continue to bring you intriguing and insightful content. Stay curious and see you in the next video.